The Honourable Mark Buddigy.
Thank you, Brendan. Recently, the Australian Council of Trade Unions, the Cancer Council, Lung Foundation Australia, Thoracic Society of Australia and New Zealand, the Australian Institute of Health and Safety and the Public Health Association of Australia released a joint statement stressing that the current limits for workplace exposure to hazardous substances are not adequate to protect our workers. Unions have been pushing for years for state and federal work, health and safety ministers to adopt more robust protection thresholds for all hazardous chemicals encountered in the workplace. In 2019, WHS ministers agreed to a review of the workplace exposure standards for airborne contaminants, and after 2 years agreed to health-based limits for all but 9 chemicals, for which they requested further assessment due to issues concerning regulatory burden. This further assessment and consultation undertaken by Safe Work Australia has recommended that worker exposure limits be lowered for these 9 chemicals, that is benzene, formaldehyde and respirable crystalline silica, as well as chlorine, copper, hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen sulfide, nitrogen dioxide and titanium dioxide. It is further stressed that delay in resolving this issue has caused workers to continually be exposed and suffer the physical consequences of working with these chemicals at unsafe levels. Exposure to these chemicals should be reduced to as low as reasonably practical to protect workers from developing cancer, respiratory disease and other long latency diseases and minimise their risk of chemical poisoning. The Australian Workers Union is one of the key unions leading the charge around this campaign, covering workers in healthcare, water treatment, mining, construction and manufacturing. The AWU have recently reported that 5,000 workers die every year from hazardous chemicals and that 1 in 5 workers have reported encountering harmful gases and fumes on the job. The AWU have historically been persistent advocates around this issue through campaigning on the use of crystalline silica, calling for national regulation and minimum benchmarks to protect workers in every affected industry, and have achieved major wins in this area, including banning the use of engineered stone which contains crystalline silica. Thank you to ACTU Secretary Sally McManus and Assistant Secretary Liam O'Brien for this very important campaign. I also congratulate the AWU National Secretary Paul Farrow and the New South Wales Secretary Tony Callanan, as well as everyone at the AWU for their resolute and continued advocacy against hazardous chemicals in the workplace. Finally, I congratulate all unions involved in this very important campaign that will no doubt save lives and benefit our most vulnerable.